Welcome to Ignite Purpose. My name is Christina Foxwell, and if you've been listening to my podcast show, you will know that this show is about you, it's for you, and it's to inspire purpose through people's stories. Today I have a guest who's very close to my heart, and you would know that he has appeared on my show fairly regularly, and I'd like to welcome Kris Yule to the program. Welcome, Kris.
Thank you very much. Hello.
Hello, and I'm in Sydney and Kris is in Brisbane, and you can see the sunshine. I've got a jacket on, so yes. All right, what is our topic today on Ignite Purpose? Drum roll.
Well, we're talking today about purpose.
Oh, wow. It's quite opportune, this topic, isn't it?
It sure is. I think the world that we live in at the moment has changed so much. Having a clear why in your life as a person, and I think for companies looking for the right type of people, it's really, really important.
It is so important. This has been something that I've been playing with for a long time, hence my company's name being Ignite Purpose. And there's a few things in my journey that I've recognized around purpose, which I'm going to kind of position as we talk today. The first thing is purpose inspires passion. Yeah. Purpose is that guiding light. But I do want to caveat this. Sometimes purpose can be connected to my feeling of worthiness. And I've got to disconnect that. And we can talk about that later. Because purpose is a sense of direction and presence, not a sense of I've got to achieve this and then I'll be good enough. And I'm going to use an example. When I started this practice, oh my God, it would have been called the Performance Consultants. Can you imagine? And I said, oh God, that's so dry. I don't want that name. And I know that sounds like judgment, but it needed to come from me. And when I wrote down Ignite Purpose, it just sparked off for me. Why are we calling this Ignite Purpose? Because I want to ignite people's purpose and give them the opportunity to be the best they can. I had this long purpose statement because I'd listened to Simon Sinek 100 times. And now my purpose statement is simple: to make a difference to one person's life a day. It's measurable. It's aligned to who I am. It connects to the work we do. And it helps me challenge that if I'm not doing that, what am I doing? Interesting thought, eh?
Very.
What do you think about purpose?
So I think the lack of purpose is where, in my experience, it's been, most obvious. And if I draw on my own experience, you look at I've been in large corporate environments and entrepreneurial environments, but we found ourselves not long ago, where as a large employer, we were not popular. We were not attracting top talent. We didn't have people wanting to work for us. And a lot of that was just down to the fact that we were asking people to spend a lot of their time away from their families at work. And oftentimes people just thought, well, I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't know why, why am I expected to go the extra mile? And so by spending some time just thinking about, are we clear about why? Are we clear about, why we're doing what we're doing? And, it's something that you have to keep revisiting, because it does change and it evolves over time. And, it's bigger than your goals. You just mentioned, your choice in business, and, having a purpose, it's bigger than that. And
it is bigger than that. That's the scary piece, though, isn't it?
It is. It can be. And I think a lot of people that, without spending time, because for us it took a good deal of emotional thought to try and figure out, well, what is it? What is it that we are trying to do? And without it, you end up just getting only half of the job done, I think. Where people are just, they they phone it in. They'll do their 9 to 5, and you don't get the best out of people because it's just a job.
I love that you've said that, because it's true. If your people can't connect their purpose to your organization's purpose, and they can't see themselves successful, whatever that might mean for them, within the framework of what you do and why you do it, they won't stay when it gets tough.
No.
They won't stick it out, because that emotional connection to why they're doing it isn't there.
So we found ourselves in this spot where, in the media space, it's incredibly competitive, and I think anyone in traditional media, and that has taken on, different terms now. If you're in an agency, or even if you're in one of those traditional digital businesses,
Yes.
who would have thought they would be called traditional? Unless you're really clear with your staff as to what they're there for and how they're changing the world somehow, you're just not going to get the best out of the people that you've got, and you're certainly not going to attract the best people. And so, when I was going through this process with our team, we're thinking, well, what is it that we're here for? And we boiled it down to a couple of things. One, we were genuinely interested in helping our customers and seeing their business grow and seeing them as individuals grow, and so that really helped guide us with some of the recommendations and solutions that we're giving them, saying, well, would you buy this from you? Is this really helping them? Because that is, ultimately what we are there for. Now, as an organisation, we had a broader purpose, which was to help make Australia a better place.
Yeah.
And I keep reminding myself, I'm really fortunate in my career, having met lots of really interesting people, but the one that stands out most for me was when I was having lunch in the garden out front of the office, and with my two of my daughters, and Hedley Thomas walked past. Now, many will know who Hedley Thomas is, but for those who don't, he is a journalist. He's a Queenslander.
Yes.
He also wrote and he's responsible for one of the most incredible podcasts in our recent generation, and The Teacher's Pets, and that has led to the arrest and to the charge of Chris Dawson, who for many years escaped justice for the murder of his wife. And it was only through his persistence and this cold case podcast that just grew through popularity that they continued to focus on it, and it led to ultimately justice being served. So he walked past, and I was having lunch with my daughters, and I was so proud. I was so proud when I explained to my daughters, that yes, I have to be away from the home every day and every week, and working long hours, and away from my family, but I had a real sense of being in a company that was doing good for for Australia. And for our teams, we would keep reminding them of that as our guiding principle, that we are genuinely helping people. And when you bring it into a commercial setting where we operate and focus on what it is that you're not just selling things, you're not selling solutions, but you're actually helping businesses grow.
Yes. And
and if you keep reminding yourself that you're actually there for for a higher purpose than just making your target and hitting your numbers, that you're actually genuinely there to help people grow, that really helped get everyone through the tough times, of which there are many. And we went further as well. We decided to focus on what we were there for as a leadership team.
I remember that. That was a very long discussion.
It was.
But a good one.
Well, and what it meant was that we provided a platform to have the discussion, and it lasted for many days, in fact, many weeks, if I recall. And we agreed that what we were there for as a leadership team was to provide world-class careers for our people. And if you roll that together, it means that as an individual, you can come in knowing that your leadership team and your leader is there, and their purpose in life is to make your career go as far as you want it to, and provide an environment for you to thrive and grow.
And I want to hold that thought there. I was standing next to your leadership team for 4 years. And in that time, that is what I saw. Actually, now reflecting on it, some of the programs you put in place and that you really fought for were those programs that would allow people who have achieved really live that career recognition piece that's so important. And not just that, but the growth that goes along with it. And I remember you were incredibly passionate about it, and it was really good.
Well, it's hard sometimes in a big corporate environment if you're not in the head office and you're not front and center to some of the decision makers. And one of the ways that we wanted to overcome that was show that you could be given that recognition and given that reward on an international scale, if you're in Brisbane or if you're in Sydney or in Melbourne. But for us, that was really important to show that you could have an international career in one of the divisions. And one of the ways that we did that was we introduced a really transparent program of recognition and reward, and we challenged our leaders to then really understand what was the why for the individuals. Why were they coming to work, and did they believe in the why that we had as a company? Did they believe in the why we had as a leadership team? And did we understand, what it was that they wanted to get out of their career and out of their time away from their families? And we introduced a reward scheme where, the leaders were challenged to come up with meaningful rewards that would make a big difference. And sometimes that was, not what you'd expect, but if you've got a daughter who's a track and field athlete, maybe one of the rewards that we could give them is access to one of our contacts through the business who could help them as a coach of their track and field or swimming, or javelin or whatever. And that meant that you're coming to work, you're trying to build a better life for your family. You know that you've got individuals within your family. You know that people are paying attention to what's important to you, and you're being given rewards that will really benefit them and benefit your family. And so that started to create a culture of inclusivity, and it meant that people really bought into this idea that we were genuinely there to help make life better for them as individuals, for our clients, and for the broader population. So that helped us overcome the fact that we were in a really challenging market, traditional media owner, no longer the flavour of the month, no longer
didn't like the traditional didn't like the name, then the market didn't.
No, but as a member of the team, you were able to genuinely say, I'm here to help people. I'm here to make life better. And I know that the things that I've got available to me to help will genuinely help customers grow their business, would genuinely help individuals. And, I'm happy to spend time away from my family because I know it's genuinely helping me too.
And I'm going to put a lens on for everyone out there. I think it's so important that we create that sense of purpose that people connect to. And as you're talking, I'm reflecting just on the pulsating passion it created. I don't think there's any other word to describe it, because I remember an activity that the leaders did with their teams, and it was insane. Do you remember that thing where they had weird hats on and then they were rowing a boat and then they were doing this? And so it was that there were programs that we'd put in place with Mark, and they were rolled out to connect people to purpose and purpose to outcome. And even right up to the last time I spent time there, we ended up running those performance modules for people. And the first module was your why. And understanding what makes you tick. For some of us, we're on the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy. We just need to survive. For some others, we are surviving, but we need to now be something else. And so we're all at different places, which is why that why piece is important. I remember when I started this practice, Kris, and I'm going to make it available to the listeners. I wrote my first dyslexic article, which I'm proud of, by the way. And it was about purpose, because I'm going to share a story with you. I was a single mom living in South Africa, and I worked in recruitment. And I worked in a place called Pretoria. And I had about 100 temps working for me at one stage. And the majority were previously disadvantaged women. And if they weren't previously disadvantaged, because we did office support, back office, so finance, logistics, not sales. We did some sales, but we did sort of office functionality and operations. And how often it was where people would sit in front of me and cry and ask me to please help them. And so Carolise, my daughter, who now works with me, she must have been 6. And this is almost like the conversation you had with your daughter. She said, "Mommy, what do you do?" And I remember driving my little red Daewoo. And I said, "Carolise, I help mommies like me get work so they can take care of their children like you. That's all I do every day. I just help mommies live." And that was my first sense of real purpose. And I worked for a company called Kelly. We were not Kelly Girl, we were Kelly. And they had a statement called Kelly is people. And we didn't get commissions. We got a base salary. And every end of the year, we got a bonus for the branch or the team, which was divvied up. That's another discussion. So it wasn't much, but whatever it was, profit-based. And then we could qualify for an overseas holiday. That was 5-star. I'm not even kidding you when I say it was 5-star, for a week. And depending on how we performed, we got a double ticket. I remember, and this is how poor I was, getting a double ticket and not having spending money, but going anyway with my mother. She was my partner in crime. And it was just amazing to go through that experience and to know that it wasn't because of anything, but because of the work we were doing for others. John Maxwell's got a fabulous quote or equation. Don't you like a good equation? You do. You're a high theoretical.
I do.
Okay, you do. So it goes around this. If I can use my skills, gifts, and talents so that someone else can be more, I will live a purposeful and fulfilled life. And I think we miss that sometimes, and we forget about what we're actually doing. And I'm going to use another example. I have, oh my God, it's still there. I thought I'd pulled it all off. 1.2 million on my wall, because we went through this high performance process together, and I was adopting a lot of that in my practice. And I'm a sales director in my heart. And it was up everywhere, and we were working to, and you know how many times I had tried to grow this business. How many times?
Well, it's been a journey.
It's been a journey. And I remember sitting opposite you sometimes as we were sharing our journey going, sweet God, what am I doing wrong? Because I've got a business background. It just doesn't make sense. Nonetheless, 2 years ago, I sat with my accountant, and at that stage, our business took a dip. You know that because we were talking about it at that stage. And she said to me, this is what your profit looks like. And I got really anxious, as I do, because I feel that's failure. And we went through the mechanics. And I remember sitting there crying and saying, I'm missing something. Something about having joy in this business isn't there for me. I said to John, I'm done. I'm wrapping it up. He was like, oh God. I don't think you should wrap it up. I think you should just breathe. 12 months ago, I had this shift, and I said to my team, pull the 1.2 million off the wall, please. They said, why? I said, because that number is where I feel my worthiness lies and my purpose lies, but that's not my purpose. My purpose is to make a difference to one person's life a day. That is all of our purpose. And when we do that and we focus on that while we keep our business thinking in the background, we're going to be successful. And can I say something to you? That is true. It's knowing where my worth lies, and my value lies in my purpose. Knowing who I am, what I bring. And when I give it to you, that's my value. When you're more successful because of what I bring, that's my value.
It's amazing, isn't it, how often purpose is to do with helping others?
It is. It goes beyond us. Even the example you used about the families. The purpose we have goes beyond us. The purpose you have when you work so hard for your family and for this business. Kris, I don't often see leaders love a business. You love the business.
Well, I think the fact that we did so many things that I could, hand on heart say that was just a good thing for us to do as a business. And, a lot of people who don't know the media landscape, or they might read some headlines, and, we were certainly not blameless in some of that, especially what's happening in America at the moment. But, when we did a campaign that really helped shine a light on some kind of injustice or some kind of issue, it made me feel really good about what we were doing. And it just reminded me that we were on the right track and we were doing the right things. We had a campaign that shone a light on this issue in Brisbane, and it's not just Brisbane; it's lots of other places in Australia where people were just getting ripped off by tow trucks, and took this tow truck scam. And there was this issue that affected so many people. It doesn't matter if you're heavily pregnant or a young mum and you just pull into the wrong car space for 3 minutes, your car's getting towed because they've got this scam set up, and all of a sudden they're asking for $400, $500, $600. Well, we changed that, and we changed that by exposing this as a massive scam. And this is one of many campaigns that we ran. But I just remember thinking at the end of that, when we look at the fact that the Queensland government changed their laws to do with this scam as a direct result of something that we did. And so when you talk to when we talk to our clients about why they should be with us and why they should align their brands with us, it's because we're doing really good things. Beautiful. And I think it's important to have that belief and remind everyone that was working with us at the time that what we were doing was just, and it was right, and meaningful, and and I think it helped with engagement and encouragement. It's good.
And I think that's what people buy. Not I think, I know. People don't buy how good we look. People buy what we stand for. One of my clients in Chile recently sent me this clip on YouTube about a fragrance. Culture has fragrance. And I love it because the fragrance is derived from purpose.
Nice.
Isn't that beautiful? That's a Yoda moment. It is. Carolisa said to me often, she's very different to me in many ways. She said to me, the only reason I work with you, and I love you, Mom, but the only reason I work with you is because of what you stand for. If you didn't have that, I don't think I could work with you, because you're crazy. My hours and the way I run around, it's nuts. And maybe her tolerance would be less. But because we can fundamentally see people's lives change and transform in front of us, Kris, because we're not judging them, because we're standing next to them, there's nothing better for me in this whole world. Last week, I was running sessions for leaders that are losing their potentially losing their opportunities for their careers. Their organization's going through change. And as we were walking through love with them and making them realize there's no shame in what they're going through, it just is. And how they can actually pivot out of this process, and how beautiful that is. To see them moving from day one to leave the end of day two, for me, was transformation.
Mm.
And that's why we do it. That's why we do it. The reason you do what you do is so that, and I always love this. So for anyone out there who doesn't know, Kris has got Scottish heritage, even though he speaks with an Australian accent. And for me, he's like the Highlander, or maybe like, who's the Scottish warrior? What is his name?
William Wallace?
Yeah, William Wallace. There we go. He is so passionate. And it's about justice. And Kris, I believe fundamentally that's part of your purpose. Mm. And, you know, I think that is what you bring.
Well, whereas I'm a massive advocate for fairness, and, you know, openness and honesty is so important to establishing an environment of fairness. You know, because people, if they feel genuinely accepted, and they know that they're being given every opportunity, the same as everyone else, then it provides a level of comfort and welcoming that is so important. And when I look back in my career, it's where people are being favoured, or if there is a culture of unfairness, that it just becomes so destructive. And we tried our best. You know, we didn't always succeed, but we tried our best to be and create a culture of openness and fairness, and that's really important.
I love that you've said that. The work we do, I often talk about armor. And I remember our vulnerability session in the fishbowl. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Where we glued your team together through storytelling. Yeah. And it wasn't necessarily that everyone needed to disclose deep and meaningful things. It was just about the willingness to stand next to each other vulnerably and be seen. I don't know if you'd ever done an activity like that before, had you?
No, I personally hadn't, and I know that the team hadn't either. So that was a new thing for us, and surprising and rewarding and challenging all at the same time. So, yeah.
Absolutely. It's not easy to be connected at that level because we're uncomfortable as human beings to stand next to each other, Kris. That's what clouds our purpose sometimes, is judgment. And also worthiness. So we as humans need to feel that we're good enough, don't you think?
Yeah, and if you think about how many people are being affected today, you know, you might have lost your job, or you
could be losing your job. Yeah.
You know, the amount of uncertainty at the moment is extraordinary. We are living through these extraordinary times, and you know, I've spent a bit of time my own trying to work out, well, what does the future me look like? And I've been really fortunate in my career to have lots of really interesting people and some mentors and some great coaches. You know, present company absolutely included.
Thank you.
And you know, a lot of it is you have to keep reminding yourself as to why you do what you do.
Correct.
You know, so this persona that you often build up in your own mind about yourself is the thing that is going to hold you back, and I think that's a challenge for a lot of people, is to work out, well, you know, what is stopping you from moving forward or evolving or changing or pivoting. It's quite often this mental image that you have of yourself. And I think if you take the time to just take a step back and think, right, well, am I clear about my purpose? Am I clear about my own why? And then you go through this process of working out, well, how is it that I can continue to be true to myself in a new world, and you stop worrying about what other people think of your persona, because really it's actually what you think of your own persona. You know, if you think,
nice.
You know, why am I doing? Why am I here? That's probably the starting point for me. What is my story? What is my how did I get to this point? But most importantly, my story going forward. What do I want it to be?
Beautiful. I am the author of my story.
And if you think about the future you a year from now, or even 5 years from now, it doesn't matter what you did before, and you take all of the learnings and if you're clear about what is it you're here for, and you start developing a new narrative for your new story going forward. And I think that's really important, and it's something I've been working through to try and understand, well, how is it that I can continue to do the things that I'm passionate about.
Nice.
You can't do this on your own.
No, you can't.
I found that in the most challenging and rewarding situations, which bizarrely are often the same thing, it's because you are able to adjust, because you've got the right people beside you and supporting you, and
they love you.
Well, and it may not always feel like that, but they do. And I think if you're being honest with yourself and your friendships and your colleagues, not everyone deserves to be with you. No. So if you think about what is your new story and what is your new narrative going forward, and you need to think about, well, who is it that I need to have on my team, and who is it I don't need on my team?
Beautiful.
Yeah. So those are some of the tools, I guess, that I've been sort of thinking about when you think of the purpose. So, well, my purpose in many respects hasn't changed. I'm here, of course. I want my family to be enjoying all of the the wonderful aspects of the world that I can show them. I will do my very best to teach them what I've learned, and and provide an environment for them to become their own people. That hasn't changed. No. The way in which I help people in business, that is changing, and working out, well, when I'm really at my best, what is it that I bring to the table, and who do I need alongside me? And it's been an interesting journey, and I'm sure that there are a lot of people listening to this who will be thinking, well, gosh, I'm in a similar situation, and I'm a bit rudderless. I know how that feels. How do I regain focus, and how do I continue to smile in my world?
Nice. Well, I think there's a few things as you were talking. Firstly, I cannot tell you how what you've just said to me has touched my heart. I've known you for a long time, and I'm moved by your story. Sorry, I'm tearing up. Simply because it is the journey, it's how we show up, it's what we're showing up for. And maybe the choice we really have is, and I spoke to Dr. Jill Stoddart about this on another podcast that I've just put out recently, is what's the best me I want to be? On my birthday last year, I made it my year of joy, and geez, has it been challenging. But it's my year of joy because it's my year of freedom. And the freedom is putting down the expectations that I fear others have of me and just choosing to be my best I can be today. Unmasked, vulnerable me. Because after all, that's what I have. I could try and sell the world that I'm like X, Y, Z. Why? Actually, what they buy is me. Because when I'm me, I'm able to connect deeply. And you and I have had this long debate, so I want to go to that quickly. I said to Kris, I'm an introvert. And he said to me, no way, you keep saying that, but you're not an introvert. Or why do you even say you're an introvert? I was listening to, and I think this is relevant for everyone out there, because if you're seeking your purpose and you might be feeling rudderless, you're going to be feeling vulnerable. Okay. And not always the positive vulnerability piece, but it's about reconnecting with who you are. Dr. Vivek Murthy, I'm now saying his name properly, has written a book called Together. And he was the general surgeon of the US when Obama was in. And he had to go and have a look at what was making people sick and what could the government do about it. And he came up with this amazing insight that the people that were suffering from heart disease, mental health issues, all that sort of stuff, was people that were suffering from loneliness. And here is the stinger. For those workaholics around us, we sometimes isolate ourselves in a weird way. And we isolate some of ourselves from the things that should matter. And then that creates a weird loneliness. You've heard this is lonely at the top. Have you heard that? Okay. Well, it shouldn't be. But it happens through isolation, and not the good kind, not the kind that's regenerating, the kind where we're kind of having to push people away in order to be either this persona or to survive the tide or many things. So I'm gonna place his book on the link. And Kris, I would really love you to go and have a look at his work. He talks about shame, and when we experience shame, we isolate ourselves. When we experience, I remember when I got to Australia, and I'd left a really good job in South Africa, got here, 3 months in the GFC hit and my job was gone. Bang. My furniture hadn't even arrived from South Africa. Josh was 3, Carolise was 11, and I just started dating John Foxwell properly in Australia. And I'm thinking, oh, sweet God, help me now. Instead of stepping boldly into, this is uncomfortable, but I'm okay, I went into survival mode, which we all do. And in survival mode, you are not connected. You actually are not feeling. You are just powering forward to survive. And what it does is it starves us of the ability to be connected with others. And actually, as a human being, we were made to be. That's why we're here. That's why you do the work. That's why purpose counts. And I think it's time for us to rebuild our connection with ourselves, to be peaceful, to look at purpose, and to be willing to give of ourselves. And to be willing to, and I'm going to say this boldly because you're dominant like I am, be willing to let others stand next to us in our vulnerability and care for us, because we don't do that easily.
No, it's not a natural state sometimes.
No. And I know with you, I muscle my way into your life every now and again. But I think I feel like you're a brother to me. And I've got deep care for you. Because I see in you the unarmored man. And I have for a very long time. But I've also seen the armored man, like you've seen the armored woman. Have you seen Vikings?
Yes.
Okay, I'm a shield maiden.
Okay.
A ninja Barbie shield maiden. I would have made an awesome warrior. My son says no, because I'm too small, but that's ridiculous. Small balls roll really fast. But I don't want to be armored up. I want to be my genuine human self. And only then can I truly live my purpose. Because purpose is not about things. Purpose is about being part of something that's meaningful. And if we boil it down to human nature, it's being part of humans. It's connecting with humans. That's what's purposeful. And I think we've got to do it more. What do you think?
Well, I think I mentioned this earlier on. It's the connection with people and how you can help people that more often than not is the thing that drives most people. That is their why. It is how they can help someone else how they can improve someone else's life. The human connection is so important. The armour, I think we all have armour from time to time, and I think it's important having people around you that will be honest with you about, when you've got armour on that you probably don't need.
And those are the people that love us with armour or without armour. And they're generally the people we put our head next to at night, that give us a solid kick up the butt with much love.
Yeah, we all need that.
Well, John knows when my armour goes up. He now has this beautiful saying, and I posted it on LinkedIn today. He goes, Tina, I'm feeling disconnected. Can you put your shame bag down? And man, that is hugely empowering for me. But I want to switch gears because, this conversation I want to last for a lifetime. But I want to give everyone an activity out there to consider their value and purpose. Is that okay if I share it? Please go to your local Officeworks or wherever you can buy a nice stack of Post-it notes. Get a nice marker or those smelly markers. Get your family to help you. Find a wall in your home that you call your value wall. And on a Post-it note, you write the key things that you bring, that's inherent to you, that you can give away so that others can be more. And you just build this wall. Because you've got to see it and you've got to believe and know what you have. Because if you don't know what you have, how can you be purposeful enough to give it away? And I'm not talking about the things we're taught in corporate to have. I'm talking about the genuine article you. I did that for about 6 months before I started this business. And my family thought I was nuts. Actually, I do think they think I'm nuts sometimes. I'm an inventor, by the way, but that's another discussion. And it helped me recognize what I have. And actually, I'm so clear on what I have right now. I had a client ask me about something the other day, and I said, I don't do that. I know he does. I'm happy to call them, and I'm happy to connect them to you, but I don't do that. Because that's just not the best of me. And I want to show up every day committed to be the best of me. Is that a powerful thought?
I think so.
Okay, Kris. So if there's one thing you leave with our audience today for them to think about, connect to, what would it be?
Look, I think what you've just touched on there is having the space in your mind to take yourself into an area where you really understand why you are where you are and what it is that you can offer to help others.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to know why you are in your current predicament. But I think if you think about those times when you are at your best, what it is that you bring to the table, that starts to, I think, unlock some of those secrets as to what it is that you have that can really help establish your why and your purpose in the direction of travel that you're taking, and that will also help you write your story of the future. We all beat ourselves up about the things that we could have done better in the past, but dwelling in the past is not helpful.
It's gone.
It is about writing the future you, and just taking the time, I think, to just give yourself the
Presence.
Give yourself the space and be present with yourself to try and work out what is it that I can do to help others.
I love that. Please don't be scared to look inside. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, if you see something that you feel is shameful, you have to look at it, acknowledge it, and let it go. Because if you don't, that little, I'm going to call it the little, I'm not even going to tell you what I call it, the asshole, keeps talking to you and will break down your ability to stand in your value and in who you are. And if that's my biggest call out, the past is gone. Recognize it and release it. Stand in today so you can write tomorrow. And give your family as many 20-second hugs as humanly possible. Kris, I want to thank you for joining me. I want to thank you for sharing your heart. I feel like I've just sat with you around a fire, talking deep, deep thoughts around how we show up. And we've shown up today. I want to encourage our audience out there to show up for yourself. It's worth it. It's not easy. Pain and growth is not easy. Step through the fear and acknowledge where you're at. It's the only way forward, you know. This has been a great pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me, Kris. I can see that beautiful Brisbane sunshine behind you. And Kris will be back again because he is one of my dear friends, and I love hearing his heart and walking with him as he goes through his journey. I want to encourage you out there, please connect with me or with Kris. I'll put both our links on LinkedIn. We want to be connected in your world. We want to be here if you want to ask any questions. And we want to tell you right now, we're not perfect, yet we choose to show up. So please don't be perfect. Just choose to show up. This is Christina Foxwell. It's been great to spend time with you. And I'm tuning out until next time. Take care. Bye.